Welcome to Carolina Crafting. I'm Jackie Jentz. Today we're at the craft shop at the John C. Campbell Folk School to meet with Mike Lalone. Mike Lalone is the resident potter here, and I ran into him at a craft show and saw his work and just thought it was wonderful. It's so different than some of the other potters that I've seen. Let's go inside and see Mike. He's waiting for us. Hi, we're at the craft shop at the John C. Campbell Folk School. We're here to talk to Mike Lalone. Mike is the resident potter here at the Folk School, and I met him at other craft shows and seen his work, and I love his stuff. And he was like gracious enough to come out and let us do this interview with him today. Mike, tell us about your work.
Well, Jackie, thank you so much, and it's a privilege to be here at the craft shop. As you said, there are plenty of wonderful artists, and especially potters that are around this area that have their work here. The work that I've got displayed contains a lot of ash glazes. The ash glazes, the ashes from wood that is burned, and you sift it and you put it in your glaze formula. Some of the colors that you're going to see are added in later. Blue for cobalt for blue, red iron oxide and yellow ochre for the golden ash, and of course green is copper. And these colors will join with the ash to cause a drippy look on the pots. And it is a self-decorating technique reminiscent of some of the old tobacco spit glazes done back in the 1800s.
Oh, that's cool. I've seen some pictures of that kind of work, but never any in the real life.
Well, I have also taken these glazes, and most of them are very high fire. They're very high fire, cone 10, and I've lowered them to cone 6, which is a mid-fire range, and able to put a little bit more color into them than they did in the old days. And it just requires a little more flux, and working with these glazes, it took me over 90 tests to come out with these glazes, but they work pretty well, and they're food safe, and all the glazes are on bowls and vases. They're very, very dishwasher safe, and that's one thing that we like to stress.
That's cool. And no lead.
No lead, no barium.
I have a question that might be a stupid question, or maybe not. Where does the ash come from? Do you have to burn your own wood, or?
We get it from a restaurant, a local restaurant who burns pecan wood.
Really?
And I snuck around behind the back one day and started looking around the garbage cans, and the owner comes back and says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I want your ashes." And he goes, "What?" And I thought he was going to kick my ash, but anyway, no. I hope we can say that. But anyway, at that point, Tim and I told him exactly what was going on, and he says, "Wow, I want to see it when it's done." So we put the ashes in, tested them, and he's got a nice pot in the restaurant with cool. The ash look to it. That's
neat. So can you explain the way how does the glaze drip like that? I think that's what my question I'm stumbling over here.
It's self-dripping at the heat on the kiln. Mm-hmm. I like to fire long, slow firing. We call it a soak. Allows the glazes to really adhere with the interface to the clay, but it allows it to drip. And the thicker you put it on, application is important. The thicker you put it on, generally the more that it drips.
Been trying anything new, Mike? Is there any new glaze or particular thing you've been doing?
Well, one thing I can do is show you this is what we talked about as far as the ash glaze is dripping, you know, the bowl is perfect because it allows the glaze to drip down. However, I'm always experimenting. On this one, I have a new rim, just different colors, and I'm always trying to work on different things to make the bowls a little more exciting, but at the same time very functional. And you'll notice also, I do take care underneath to make sure that we've got decoration. And whenever you're doing functional wear, you want to make sure that it's very, very smooth because you do not want to scratch somebody's table.
Right. I know that if I saw this out, I would know it was a piece of Mike Lalone's work. I know that.
Well, you do have a consistency and a style that you're known for.
Right.
Several of your very famous potters, or you can look at their work and say immediately, I know that's a Val Cushing pot, or it's a Ken Ferguson pot.
Right.
You know, so you're right, and I'm hoping that this becomes a style that people recognize.
After this, maybe it will.
Well, I hope so.
Well, let's go up and see where you work up at the folk school. I know that you have a studio here. You want to go up and see it?
We can.
Yay.
All right. What we're doing here is mixing up slop clay, leftover clay. We put a little dry mix in, which is a kaolin. We take some of this wet clay that has been used before, and we put it in the hopper. And what will happen is this kind of clay right here will turn into a very plastic consistency. And we'll give it about 5 minutes to get mixed up. This is recycling this clay rather than just throwing it out. So we're able to take the old clay, recycle it, and save quite a bit of money. And one of the things that we use this for is our Empty Bowls program here at John C. Campbell, as well as I donate it, we'll make some clay up and donate it to the local schools so they don't have to pay for clay. We'll give this about 5 minutes to mix up. Now we're finishing up the mixing process. And what will happen in here is I will stop the machine, then the auger inside will start pushing the finished clay, the mixed clay on the outside, right here at this nozzle, and we'll have clay that we can work with immediately. This feels nice. And what we'll do is put about 35 pounds in a bag, wrap it up, let it age a little bit. Now if we let it age, the clay will become more homogeneous, easier to work with, and more plastic. And this is the process of mixing and pugging the clay.
That was really interesting. I had no idea how you mixed the clay and how it all came together. I just thought it came in a bag. You know, what did I know about potters and clay? That was really neat. We're going to go out to Mike's studio now at his home and see what's happening out there. I think that's going to be just as fascinating. We made it over to Mike's workshop up a steep, steep hill. Every great artist I found up here lives on top of a mountain somewhere. So we were up another hill. I know I keep talking about this, but the Empty Bowl project to me is so important. As a young person, we didn't have the resources and stuff to have enough food, and to be able to promote and take part in a program that helps the families of Cherokee and Clay County is a really project close to my heart. And Mike is instrumental in having it here and taking care of it and hosting it, and does a marvelous job. And he's going to show us how he makes a bowl for the Empty Bowl benefits.
Okay guys, one of the things we do is we have basically 3 steps. You're going to center, you're going to open, you're going to pull. And I try to simplify it when I'm teaching, and also for myself too. You don't want to get too complicated. The bowls have every year, the bowl event has raised more and more money for the folks in need. We also have a silent auction with it too, which has raised some extra money. What I'm doing, I centered it, and I'm opening this right now, causing it to spread out. I'm going to start putting a little curve in here. Now, if you ever want to check and see how thick your bowls are, you just stick a little needle in there, and you can see how thick the bottom is. Just make sure you compress, 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 and cover that up. Okay. Now, I like to use a sponge to help with lubrication because it helps my fingers slide over the clay better. I'm going to keep this nice pull or nice curve here while I'm doing the pull. Right before I get to the top, I'll stop. This is going to be your rim. I'll simply bend it over like this, define it. Because I've got a little more clay here, I can make another pull right up to this rim and do what's called reset the rim. You can keep pulling until you get as much clay from the bottom area as you want. So this would be a nice example of a little bowl that we would make for empty bowls. Now right now I'm cutting excess clay out from the bottom. I'll run a rib on the curve of this bowl. Make it smooth as a baby's behind. Now to finish it off, I'll take a chamois, give the rim a little treatment right here, because you don't want any nicks or burrs on this thing that would cause anybody to get cut. And once it's fired, if you have a little nick here, it's going to be very, very sharp. So what I'll do later is I made the pot, now I have to let it get leather hard and trim it. And that's a whole nother step.
I see lots of examples of your work, and it's very diverse. I call this the drippy art, which I really, really, really like. And I see you have teapots?
Those are sculptures of teapots.
Yep.
The idea of a teapot, but that's not really functional, but it's a sculpture with all the parts of a teapot on it. However, on this particular one, you can take the lid off and fill that up with tea, and you can serve a cup of tea.
Very small.
Very small cup
Cup of tea.
But this one would be the very dysfunctional teapot, where all that works is the lid, and that's it. And it's got all the parts of a teapot, and none of it works. Again, a sculpture of a teapot.
This is the.
That
this
is
funny.
the diet cookie jar right there. Get all the chocolate chips out of that you want, guys.
That is so funny.
And it's again a play off of a jar, basically a useless jar, but it has the components of a jar with a lid and a belly. And just thought it'd be kind of neat to have a little play on the jars and play around with texture along with that ash glaze that you like.
Right, I like that glaze a lot. This glaze is different. I noticed this has.
That is a crawl glaze that was originally from a Richard Burkett formula, and I modified it a little bit so that it would flux more. It would melt just a little bit more.
So when you paint the glaze on, the heat makes it crack open and
The heat
pull back?
makes it draw together,
Uh-huh.
exposing the color underneath. Now, the thicker the glaze, the more the separation. So you can see the different thicknesses that I applied there.
And the far bowl over there even has, you know, it sticks out.
That
It
was
has like,
very thick. You applied
Yeah.
very, very thick and had a lot of crawl to it.
they're really cool. I've not seen this particular glaze before. I noticed that all your pots are glazed inside and out. There's
Right, again, they're very functional.
They
That's a good white liner glaze in there if you wanted to put water in it or flowers. They're very workable vases, And again, no lead in the glazes, so
Yay.
they're all very, very safe.
That's good. And there's little small bowls.
Those candy dishes are very popular. I call them candy dishes, but people use them for quite a few things. Candies, paper clips, you name it. Ice cream. Somebody says, "Oh, it's my ice cream bowl."
Yeah, it would be. Looks good. Looks like it to me. Or it could even be a rice bowl. I like how you've customized your table to put all your tools in. That's so handy.
When we have work, when we have kids' classes in here, we have adults with the community college. It's easy. Just throw your tools in, wipe the table down, clean it up, and it saves a lot of time on cleanup.
And it's so practical. Mike, thanks so much for inviting us up to your studios. I appreciate the time you spent showing us your work. I'm glad we got to go down to the folk school and see your setup down there. That's fascinating. I know the people across the country who come to your classes will learn so much from you. And thanks for telling me about all these great the drip glaze. That's so cool.
Well, I'm glad you've enjoyed it, and I hope the folks watching will enjoy it also. And stop by the folk school, and we'll be glad to have them.
And do you have a website?
No.
That's okay.
Maybe you could fix me one up.
Yes. I was going to say, if people want to check out your stuff, I know you're going to be at the Fall Festival October 4th and 5th.
Right.
Are you doing any other shows?
Doing some shows in Chattanooga, the performances in Clay 3, and I'm looking forward to hopefully doing some at the Southern Highland Guild.
Ooh, that's always good.
I'm hoping.
That's a good one. Well, thanks so much, and
you are quite welcome.
keep inspiring us.
Alrighty. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.